0412 a.m. On the eastern approach to the Olexander Bridge, a line of 64 Russian supply trucks is idling in the freezing mist. On the surface, this is a routine logistics run. To the men in the command vehicle, it is a display of absolute dominance. Hovering 10,000 feet above, an A-50 early warning aircraft scans the horizon, while a battery of pantsir Swan and Nebo-M radar systems project an invisible dome of protection over the convoy. The operators inside the radar vans see a clean screen. No incoming missiles, no high-altitude bombers, not even a stray bird. They are operating under the doctrine of total air superiority, convinced that if the sky is clear, the bridge is safe. They did not realize that the threat was not coming from the sky, and it was not waiting for them to arrive. It was already there, clinging to the underside of the concrete like a parasite. Tucked between the massive steel girders, 12 autonomous drones sat in total electronic silence. These were not the loud, radio-controlled units the Russians were used to jamming. These were LIDAR-guided, AI-driven hunters, programmed to recognize the specific structural vibration of a heavy truck. They emitted zero radio signals. They did not use global positioning systems. They were invisible to the multi-million-dollar electronic warfare suites screaming across the frequencies above. The trap was set, and it did not rely on a lucky shot or a brave pilot. It relied on the simple, predictable physics of a rubber tire. Before we continue, make sure to hit like and subscribe. It really helps the channel grow. The Ukrainian planners had spent 3 months studying the logistics of the Russian Southern Command. They noticed a recurring pattern. The heavy ammunition trucks, overloaded with 15 2mm shells, were prone to tire delamination when crossing the expansion joints of the Olexander Bridge. At exactly 0421 a.m., the predicted failure occurred. The lead truck in the second section of the convoy suffered a catastrophic blowout. The driver, following rigid protocol, slammed on his brakes in the center of the span. Within 90 seconds, the bridge was no longer a highway. It was a parking lot. 64 high-value targets were now trapped in a concrete bottleneck, flanked by reinforced railings and suspended over a 60-foot drop into the black water below. The Nebo-M radar operators saw the halt on their monitors, but remained calm. They assumed it was a mechanical delay. They were trained to look for fast-moving kinetic threats from the horizon, not a stationary cluster of their own vehicles. This was the first payoff of the morning. The sophisticated defense net had become a blindfold. By focusing entirely on the external perimeter, the Russian command had ignored the geometric reality of the bridge itself. Radar waves cannot penetrate 6 feet of reinforced concrete to see what is hanging underneath. The very structure they were using for transport was acting as a shield for the weapons designed to destroy it. The drones felt the rhythmic thrum of the idling engines through the pillars. The hunt was about to begin. A low-frequency acoustic pulse, barely audible to the human ear, vibrated through the steel. It was the activation code. Underneath the bridge, the 12 drones detached from their magnetic anchors simultaneously. They did not climb into the air where the pantsir radars could see them. Instead, they organized into 3 coordinated groups of 4, using infrared light to talk to one another. This was the second win for the Ukrainian operators, the neutralization of the entire Russian electronic warfare grid. The Krasuka jamming systems were outputting kilowatts of noise to drown out radio signals, but the drones were not listening to the radio. They were navigating by LIDAR, mapping the underside of the bridge in real time with laser precision. The first group of 4 drones drifted toward the center of the span, targeting the fuel tankers. The second group moved toward the command and control vehicles, while the third group descended toward the primary structural pillars. A young Russian lieutenant on the bridge deck noticed a faint green glimmer reflecting off the water. He didn't know he was looking at a LIDAR scan. He grabbed his radio to report a visual anomaly, but he was met with the screeching static of his own side's jammers. He panicked and ordered a nearby mobile gun team to fire a blind burst into the mist. The tracers lit up the dark, hitting nothing but air. But the sudden noise triggered a chain reaction of fear. The chaos on the bridge deck was now working in favor of the ambush. As the Russian soldiers scrambled to uncover their machine guns, they inadvertently created more obstructions for their own escape. Drivers began trying to reverse, slamming into the trucks behind them, wedging the convoy even tighter into the kill zone. At this moment, the third payoff was delivered. The drones initiated a coordinated electronic spoofing routine. Although they were autonomous, they carried small digital radio frequency memory modules. They began broadcasting false radar returns, making it appear to the Pantsir I operators that a swarm of 30 incoming missiles was approaching from the north at sea level. The Russian fire control computers went into an automated frenzy. The pantsir turrets spun wildly, launching 2 surface-to-air missiles at ghosts. The massive explosions of the interceptors in the sky drew every eye upward. The soldiers, the officers, and even the A-50 crew were mesmerized by the spectacular display of fire in the clouds. They believed they were fighting off a major aerial assault. They had no idea that the real threat was currently hovering 6 inches away from the fuel valves of their trucks and the support joints of the bridge pillars. The diversion was perfect. The air defense was occupied with a war that didn't exist, leaving the physical reality of the bridge completely undefended. The high-altitude drama reached its peak when the A-50 Airborne Command Center detected what it believed was a hypersonic signature closing in on the bridge. In reality, the Ukrainian swarm had deployed a single-towed decoy, a small carbon fiber glider equipped with a radar cross-section enhancer that mimicked the profile of a much larger missile. The Russian commander, fearful of losing the entire convoy to a single strike, authorized the launch of an S-4400 surface-to-air missile. The interceptor roared off its rail, trailing a massive plume of white smoke as it climbed toward the decoy. The resulting explosion was a blinding flash that illuminated the Olexander Bridge like midday sun. Every Russian soldier on the deck cheered, believing they had just saved the mission from a high-tech disaster. This was the 5th payoff, the absolute misdirection of the enemy's most expensive assets. While the $1 million missile destroyed a $100 glider, the 12 LIDAR drones reached their final strike coordinates. They were no longer drifting. They were locking on. The 4 drones in the first group hovered beneath the fuel tanks of the 3 lead trucks. They didn't aim for the armor. They aimed for the thin-walled valves where the highly flammable diesel was pumped. The precision was surgical. The drones used their onboard AI to identify the exact serial model of the trucks, ensuring the shaped charges would pierce the weakest point of the fuel system. As the smoke from the S-4400 intercept cleared, the Russian lieutenant looked down from the railing, finally seeing the small black shapes rising from the mist. It was too late. The drones initiated their terminal dive. The first 4 impacted the fuel tankers simultaneously. A massive orange fireball erupted from the center of the bridge, instantly turning the bottleneck into a furnace. The heat was so intense that the reinforced steel of the bridge deck began to lose its structural integrity within seconds. The second group of drones struck the command vehicles, neutralizing the officers who were supposed to organize an evacuation. The Russian troops were now leaderless, trapped between a wall of fire and a line of stalled trucks. The panic was absolute. Soldiers began leaping from the bridge into the freezing water, preferring the risk of drowning to the certainty of being burned alive in the ammunition trucks. The fire spread rapidly through the convoy, jumping from the fuel tankers to the 15 2mm shell crates. This was the 6th win, the transformation of the Russian logistics chain into its own executioner. The ammunition they had carried to destroy Ukrainian cities was now detonating in a series of secondary explosions that shook the very foundation of the Olexander Bridge. The Russian air defense teams on the shore were paralyzed. Their radars were still screaming with false contacts, and their optical sensors were blinded by the thick black smoke rising from the burning convoy. They could not fire their cannons for fear of hitting their own men, yet they could not stop the drones they still couldn't see. The 7th payoff occurred when the final group of 4 drones executed their primary mission. Instead of attacking the vehicles, they descended to the waterline. They targeted the main structural pillars of the bridge at the point where the concrete meets the steel reinforcement. These drones carried heavy, synchronized, shaped charges designed for demolition. They attached themselves to the pillars using high-powered magnets and waited for a 1 millisecond synchronization signal. The Ukrainian operators, watching from a distance through a high-resolution drone feed, saw the final confirmation. The bridge was no longer a viable structure. It was a ticking clock. The Russian military doctrine, which prioritized brute force and expensive electronic shields, had been defeated by a few pounds of plastic explosive and a clever piece of software. The bridge, the pride of the southern logistics route, was about to become a monument to the failure of rigid systems in the face of decentralized innovation. The secondary explosions from the ammunition trucks reached a critical mass. 1,000 shells detonated at once, sending a shockwave that shattered windows in villages 5 miles away. The pressure wave was so powerful, it actually lifted the middle section of the bridge deck off its supports for a fraction of a second. As the deck slammed back down, the 4 drones at the waterline detonated their structural charges. The timing was perfect. The vibration from the trucks combined with the focused energy of the shaped charges caused a total shear failure of the central pillars. The concrete didn't just crack, it pulverized. The 8th win was the site of the most expensive engineering project in the region beginning to fold like a piece of paper. The middle span of the Olexander Bridge tilted sharply to the left. The remaining 64 trucks, still loaded with fuel and explosives, began to slide off the deck in a slow-motion cascade of steel and fire. The A-50 aircraft above could only watch as its primary target vanished from the radar, replaced by a massive thermal spike on the surface of the water. The entire operation had taken less than 5 minutes from the first tire blowout to the total collapse of the span. The absolute disintegration of the Olexander Bridge was not just a tactical victory, it was a demonstration of a new era of kinetic math. The 9th payoff arrived when the Russian electronic warfare units on the shore finally realized their mistake. They had been jamming the entire electromagnetic spectrum for miles, creating a wall of noise that they thought would keep them safe. Instead, they had inadvertently shielded the Ukrainian drones from their own detection systems. Because the drones were autonomous and used internal LIDAR mapping, the Russian jamming had no effect on the attackers, but it prevented the Russian commanders from receiving real-time reports from the bridge deck. By the time the smoke cleared enough for a visual assessment, the bridge was already gone. 64 supply trucks, 3,200 tons of ammunition, and 2 entire platoons of logistics personnel had vanished into the strait. The impact on the southern front was immediate and devastating. Without this specific artery, the Russian rail-to-truck transfer points were paralyzed. 10,000 troops waiting for resupply in the trenches to the south were suddenly left with less than 3 days of food and ammunition. This was the 10th win, the strategic decapitation of an entire theater's logistics without a single Ukrainian soldier stepping foot on the bridge. The final moments of the Olexander Bridge were captured in a haunting thermal silhouette by the A-50 aircraft. The screen showed a massive void where the central span used to be, a gap 300 feet wide that no portable engineering unit could bridge in under 6 months. The Russian high command was forced into a humiliating choice: admit that a billion-dollar defense net was defeated by 12 small drones, or invent a story of a massive missile strike that their own radars failed to intercept. Both options signaled a total loss of credibility. The final payoff, hinted at from the first second of the mist-covered morning, was now clear. The Ukrainians hadn't just destroyed a bridge, they had exploited the fundamental rigidity of modern military thinking. The Russians built a fortress in the sky, but they forgot to look at the concrete beneath their feet. The LIDAR drones, having completed their programmed task, did not attempt to return home. They were designed for a one-way trip, their final act being the destruction of their own internal processors to ensure no technology could be recovered. As the sun began to rise over the wreckage, the only thing left of the 12 hunters was a few ounces of melted silicon at the bottom of the black water. The geopolitical chessboard shifted before the fires on the water were even extinguished. In the offices of military planners across the globe, the Olexander Bridge became the primary case study for the obsolescence of traditional heavy logistics. The 11th win was the psychological ripple effect. Every Russian driver now approaching a bridge in the occupied territories did so with the knowledge that the very ground they moved on could be a weapon waiting to wake up. The sense of security provided by the pantsir and the S-400 had evaporated, replaced by a deep, systemic paranoia. The cost-to-effect ratio was the most terrifying statistic of all. $12,000 worth of drone hardware had eliminated over $1.4 billion in infrastructure and military equipment. Brute force had been bypassed by surgical intelligence. As the morning mist finally lifted, revealing the twisted rebar and the empty space where a lifeline once stood, the lesson was undeniable. In the modern age, the most dangerous threat isn't the one you can see on a radar screen. It is the one that knows your system better than you do, waiting silently in the blind spots you were too arrogant to check. The Olexander Bridge was gone, and with it, the old rules of war. The transition from structural failure to total thermal annihilation occurred in a heartbeat. As the central pillars pulverized, the bridge deck groaned under the weight of the remaining 32 ammunition trucks, which were now sliding toward the growing chasm. The 11th fast win was the sudden, violent interaction between the ruptured fuel lines and the electrical grid of the bridge's lighting system. A series of high-voltage arcs ignited the vaporized diesel, creating a secondary pressure wave that peeled the armored plating off the Russian command vehicles like tinfoil. This was not a slow burn. It was a high-velocity combustion event. Inside the 15.2mm shell crates, the propellant charges reached their auto-ignition temperature. A synchronized series of detonations ripped through the convoy, sending white-hot shrapnel through the air at 4,000 feet per second. The shrapnel didn't just hit the trucks, it shredded the tires and fuel tanks of the vehicles still on the stable sections of the bridge, turning the entire 3,000-foot structure into a continuous fuse of fire and steel. The Russian soldiers on the shore could only watch as a half-mile of highway was consumed by a rolling wall of orange flame that reached 200 feet into the freezing morning sky. The final, terrifying payoff was the total kinetic collapse of the northern approach. The weight of the exploding ammunition created a downward force that exceeded the bridge's design limits by 400%. The reinforced concrete didn't just break, it underwent a process of explosive spalling, where the internal pressure of the moisture in the concrete turned the material into a hail of stone bullets. The 12th wind was the sight of the remaining spans unzipping from their moorings in a perfect, terrifying sequence. One by one, the massive 80-ton concrete slabs flipped into the water, dragging the remaining trucks, the radar vans, and the panicked gun teams into the depths. The impact of the debris hitting the water created a localized tsunami that swamped the Russian patrol boats waiting near the shore, capsizing 2 of them instantly. The fireball from the final ammunition truck was so bright it was detected by environmental satellites designed to monitor volcanic eruptions. When the sound finally reached the Russian command bunker 5 miles away, it wasn't a bang. It was a continuous low-frequency roar that lasted for 45 seconds. The Alexander Bridge had not just been cut, it had been erased from the map, leaving nothing but a jagged line of smoking pillars and a surface covered in burning oil and the twisted remains of a billion-dollar failure.